We asked for an effort, and we got an effort as the Philadelphia 76ers fall in overtime, 122-115, dropping their record to 3-14, while the Houston Rockets improved to 14-16. And a valiant effort in South Philadelphia by the home team. They now get ready to hit the road to take on the Detroit Pistons on Saturday. And we'll see if they can find a way to win that one. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Rich Hoffman, Devon Givens, Brianna here with you on Thanksgiving Eve. Our buddy Chris, also our social media manager, hanging out with us here tonight. We'll check in with the guys later on from the arena. We'll also give you our player of the game. I think most of you know who that is on the 76ers side. There were some really good individual performances, some great team effort on both sides as well, including from Houston, who did, in fact, have a back-to-back. So a second night of a back-to-back and two overtime victories against Minnesota on Tuesday, Philadelphia on Wednesday. So a really good competitive basketball game. This is what we normally expect from the Philadelphia 76ers, sitting here at 3-14. And Rich, even with this one, I can't help but think if they had given this type of effort in some of these other losses, that they might have 3, maybe 4 more wins in these close games that they have lost. But to focus on what they did tonight, they were pretty good. They were pretty good in this one. Unfortunately, with where their record is, it still hands them their 14th loss of the season.
Could have, should have, would have, Devon.
Yeah.
It's no, I'm with you, and we'll get to my 3 things. But as far as the players who were on the court tonight, that was a good effort. They played hard, man. And I know Houston, they sort of exerted their will at the end of that game with the offensive rebounds. They're more athletic. They're bigger, and the Sixers went to a smaller lineup at the end of that game that was pretty interesting with the 2 small guards. With our guy, Rick. Go get him, Rick.
Go get him, Rick. He had a couple of moments there tonight. More good than bad, but go get him, Rick. He played well.
KJ and Yabu. And honestly, you know, a guy who I didn't even mention in that lineup, that was Andre Drummond's best game of the year. He was locked in from the start, and if he had played like that since the beginning of the year, you're right. They might have a couple more wins. He did not play like that since the start of the year, and that's a reason why they are currently 3-14. But, like, look, our expectations are pretty low for this team right now. We're looking for, you know, effort, cohesiveness, all of those things. I think we got it tonight. Just came a little bit short. I think, honestly, one of the killer plays of that game was in overtime, right? Yabu makes the 3 to start overtime. Andre Drummond fouls. Who's that? Jalen Green on a 3 coming off the screen. It looked a little bit ticky-tack on the replay.
Did they give it to Oubre or did they give it to Drummond? Because
they might have given it to Oubre.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a killer play because then Houston. No. That's fair. Houston gets back into the overtime period, and then towards the end, it's just a lot of like Alperen Sengun playing volleyball on the rim, right? And I felt bad, like. Jared McCain, who struggled tonight, there were a lot of possessions where he had to box out Amen Thompson. Difficult. Not easy to do. He did his best, but it was one of those games. And that the longer it went on, probably the more it favored Houston. I thought the Sixers did a great job down the stretch. I mean, that play that Nick Nurse ran, as you pointed out, the Jason Tatum 3-pointer in Philadelphia, I believe it was the 3rd matchup between the Sixers and the Celtics a few years ago. It was a Saturday night game on ABC in February. Play Tatum makes the 3. Same exact play. Tyrese Maxey gets fouled by Dylan Brooks, and then he makes all 3 free throws. Not easy to make all 3 when you need every one of those. Look, Tyrese was great all night. I can applaud the effort for this individual game. I felt pretty good about how everybody played tonight. It just was not enough. And that is, unfortunately, the story of this Sixers season so far. They just do not have enough talent to hang with a lot of these teams in the NBA.
Yeah, and when if I could point out another one that was really bad, the Ricky part, where we praised Ricky throughout the night for the job that he did. Go get him, Rick, all the fun stuff that we do. He had a few of those moments there in the game, but the overtime where there was an inbound pass, Ricky is standing right in front of his head coach. He's looking to inbound the ball. And typically, as you guys know, not saying it as if you guys don't know, but coaches normally give the ball for the inbound plays to the people that they really, really trust. And second-year guy, whatever he is, but Ricky, he's expecting him to make a right decision and inbound the ball. And look, there was a lot of ball pressure on that inbounds play. And we're talking about a highly competitive game where Men Thompson, you're speaking about him, Alperen Sengun, not known as a defender, but they're pressing up on an inbounds play, Fred VanVleet, etc., Dylan Brooks, where you really have to shake loose and give your teammate an angle and a lane to throw that basketball in without worrying too much. He held on to it, and as he was ready to release, Rich, he steps over the line because he was unsure of then making, after he made the decision and committed to the player that he was throwing the ball to, that's a turnover, and they go back the other way. And they had one too many of those. Yes, the volleyball from Alperen Sengun, absolutely. But the offensive rebounds from Sengun, Amen Thompson, as you mentioned with Jalen Green, Tari Eason getting his hands on a few, Fred VanVleet, the fact that they hustled the way that they did tonight, the 76ers, but then in those crucial moments where they have been giving that effort, they're right there with the Houston Rockets.
They gave it tonight, man. They gave it.
The things that have gotten them in this position, the self-inflicted wounds, if you will, that have gotten them into this position of 14 losses on the season through 17 games, they came up and they reared its ugly head in the wrong spots where a ball bounces on the floor. Who comes in there and swoops it up? Fred VanVleet, who is maybe 10 feet away from the basket, but he runs in there and gets that loose ball. The 50-50 balls, the offensive rebounds, and the Sixers' bad turnovers really did them in the end. Now, you want to build off of something, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that a little bit later of some of those things that, hey, maybe they can, if they can give this effort, they should be able to give it against Detroit on Saturday. We'll get there. But for right now, those are the things that really stand out as some of the things that hurt the Sixers. As they're in a close game, you have to find Houston, a very good basketball team, one of the best in the NBA. Good teams are going to find a way to win. Bad teams, they're going to find a way to lose. And that's what the 76ers unfortunately are right now. They found a way to lose this one. So let's get to Rich's 3 takeaways of the game here tonight. Sixers fall 122-115. We'll check in with Colin Derrick from the arena. We'll get to our player of the game. We have a couple of WTF moments of the night that we want to highlight a little bit later. But Rich's 3 takeaways to start things off.
Yeah, Devon, I think number one, I already touched on this, but overall, I was very pleased with that effort, right? All we asked for, because the other night, that was 2.5 hours of just dreck. That was awful. It was tough to watch. They gave us 2.5 hours. Honestly, they gave us more than 2.5 hours,
yes,
right? They gave us an extra
overtime.
5 minutes of free basketball. I have no qualms with how they played tonight. Obviously, there were some mistakes in the overtime period, like you mentioned, where, Houston is an more experienced now winning team, and they just made the plays down the stretch. But overall, there were a lot of guys who played really well tonight. We haven't even mentioned them tonight. Yabu is good, man. It's again, this is one of these weird things about this season. They're 3-14, and they found a good player in Jared McCain, who clearly has, I hate to use this word, but it's the only one in my head right now, a ramp to be very good at some point. Not the type of ramp we've been talking about for most of the year. Another ramp. He has a chance to be a very good player. And you have Yabu, who is like a borderline NBA starter that they signed in what, September? August? Whenever. It was after the Olympics for sure. And he's good. Like, he can play the 4, he can play the 5, he can make threes. They were running post-ups through him for a little bit.
Oh, Rich, you were like, they're running the offense through this guy in overtime.
Yabu was good. Yeah, he's legit. So again, like, it's one of the weirdest things about this season right now, man, where they can't win a single game, and yet they have 2 extremely pleasant surprises on their roster, and that's just where we are right now. But overall, like, again, I can look up and down the lineup. Kelly Oubre, down the stretch, he was not heard from as much. Wasn't in the game quite, he was playing down the stretch. But he had a good start to the game. He just didn't make any threes. It felt like Oubre and McCain, that was tough, right? They needed to make their threes. They were good shots. They just couldn't make them. And obviously, Kelly has struggled to make those shots all year. Jared has not struggled to make those shots, but he just missed a night. That dude did not have the touch. He missed a free throw. That's okay. But that's part of the reason why the Sixers are held back right now, man. You look at, they finished 12 of 33 from beyond the arc. Maxey, 6 of 12. They're not getting anything else from anybody, like they're getting, I should actually add Yabusele in there, man. Yabusele and Maxey, 10 of 18 from 3. Everybody else, 2 of 15 from beyond the arc. So you get 2 really good shooting nights from 2 of your players, but the other guys can't make their threes. And that's the way less talented teams score upsets in the NBA, man. They shoot like 45% from beyond the arc on decent volume, and that's how you win. And that's just not available to the Sixers right now.
Can we stay on the Yabusele piece real fast? Because we've talked about this the September signing and then beyond. Is this guy, as you just said, he's a borderline starter. Now, when you look at this team and you look at them, and it's hard to do so because we have only seen it a few times through 17 games now, but is that where you maybe look now when the other guys come back and saying that he has to be the 5th starter along with McCain being out there? We expect him to stay in that starting lineup with Tyrese Maxey in the backcourt. Is this type of performance and what we've already seen in the games that he has played, all 17, are you in that spot where you're ready to kind of plant your flag and say, bring Kelly Oubre off the bench, and even Caleb Martin for that matter, because Paul George, Joel Embiid are going to be starting, and you're looking at the backcourt of McCain and Maxey? Are you ready to plant that flag and say, start him at the 4 because of what you saw tonight? We've been waiting to see what he looks like at the 4. We were talking about the double big lineup in our pregame show. As you mentioned, he was damn good as the 4. 22 points. He didn't rebound the ball all that great, but he did give you that 22. He stretched the floor. We saw some really good pick and pops where he was questionable. Comfortable. We were questioning whether he could catch and shoot, and that release looking pretty good. It looked really good tonight. The only one that we questioned was a transition trail 3 on the right wing when we felt like they should have got it to Maxey instead. Other than that, he was really good.
I thought so. And I think if you can get all of these guys back, which I know some people are probably furiously typing in the chat.
What do you want
us
to say?
Okay, so I get that. If they were able to get all of these guys back, I think I agree with that, man. I think you play the 2 little guards, you play PG, and you play Yabu at the 4, and then you play him with Joel, and then you build the rest of the rotation outside of that. I would go with it. Yeah, man, he's good. I don't really think it's a matter of him playing on a bad team. Like he's doing winning stuff. I mean, part of the reason he wasn't able to rebound tonight is that he's playing the 5 in a lot of those small ball lineups, which there are weaknesses with that. His rim protection is not great there. And, he's trying to block Sengun's shot or Jalen Green's shot, but then he's taking himself out of the play. So you need excellent rebounding from the other 4 guys. And the Sixers didn't have that either. So, I think he's absolutely carved out, whether or not he starts, Devon, he needs to play.
He's playing 25
minutes a game. Yeah, 100%. He's good. And I think he's got some chemistry with Maxey. He made a 3 tonight where I believe it was Sengun came out on the screen for Maxey. Pick and pop jumper. Not the easiest shot in the world either, too. It was, Maxey had to throw the pass over the defense. It took a while. Still drilled it, right? He looks comfortable taking those shots. And outside of that one trail 3, he's kind of a more versatile shooter than I thought he would be. I mean, he makes a bunch of them from above the break, which I know Derek wondered about earlier in the year. If his feet are set in the half court, it's like a pretty good look. So I've been impressed with him, and tonight was another excellent game.
And quite honestly, with that trail 3, when you are in the flow of a game now, and you know what the NBA range is, you're practicing it as much as he has been since he's gotten to Philadelphia, signed with Philadelphia. It's just a matter of them falling now. It's not getting them up and how they look when they release from his fingertips. They look pretty good. I no longer question, is it a good shot for Yabusele? While we pointed out the one from the wing, that was strictly because Tyrese Maxey was on a heater tonight in the second half and going into overtime that you find the hot hand. But for Yabusele to be able to now hit that trail 3, and even on those pick and pops, the ball swings to him on other occasions, and he goes up there without any fear at all of if the shot is going to go in. You can often tell when a guy is questioning himself and taking a shot like that. He is no longer doing that this far in the season where I'm worried about, can he shoot that shot? I'm not asking him to take 9, but if he has a game where he's starting to get it going and that's how it's happening, then that's just perfectly fine. But overall, I'm very comfortable with where he is from behind the 3-point line.
And I'll just add this too. I'm looking at cleaning the glass. I know that the Rockets scored 122 points tonight, but it was an overtime period. It was a pretty fast game as
108,
well.
108 after 4.
That was a below average offensive performance from Houston. It was a below average offensive performance from the Sixers as well. But they played pretty hard, man. They turned them over a good bit. That was part of the issue in overtime, man. And as the game kind of wore down a little bit, they didn't get quite as many turnovers as they got in the early going. I forget what the number was in the first half, but I think they were already close to double digits in the first half and turning Houston over. And I just thought, we'll get into Maxey next segment here. But I thought just Tyrese Maxey's ability to get back on defense. There were some plays where Tyrese Maxey was getting not blocks, but Jalen Green was missing layups because Tyrese Maxey, of all people, not Rudy Gobert, 6'2" Tyrese Maxey, the guy who's yelling at Keith Pompey for calling him short, was vertical and getting back on defense. And I thought that was kind of emblematic of the entire team tonight. Everybody just hustled back. Ricky had a couple plays where he hustled back on defense. Kelly Oubre in the first quarter, he punches Dylan Brooks' shot from behind just because he's hustling to get back on defense. So for a team that was overmatched athletically tonight, I thought they did a lot of the things to mitigate those factors that were going against them. In the overtime period, not quite as much, but such is life.
Yeah. If man, that was a tough one. And I can't stand Dylan Brooks, so I wanted to say something else when you said that about Kelly Oubre, punch that ish. That's what he did. Send it to the seats. All right, when we come back, we do have to talk about Tyrese Maxey because, heck, let's talk about Tyrese Maxey and Jalen Green. Those two going at it, that was fun. Let's discuss it when we get back right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365.
And Devon, I am here to tell you about our friends at Empire Today, who can help you with all of your carpeting and flooring needs. You can use empiretoday.com/PHLY for $350 off new floors. Devon, with Empire Today, you get to shop for a bunch of great things. Home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a price match guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring. So, of course, there are copycats out there, but they can't beat Empire Today on quality, service, and speed, so they advertise low-quality products that Empire Today simply won't carry. They advertise lower-quality products that they would not put in their own homes. Empire's philosophy is to help you find what you need and not overwhelm you with thousands of choices and substitutes. What they leave out of their selection is just as important as what they put in. Shopping for floors at a big box store can be frustrating. You might talk to someone who was working in plumbing yesterday, but flooring is all that Empire Today does. They live and breathe this stuff, so you can be confident that you are getting honest, upfront advice. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code PHLY. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHLY for details.
And when I was watching the Birds play the other night, getting a huge win on the road to improve to 9-2 over Los Angeles, I was devastated when I heard my man BG with the injury that's keeping him out for the season. Awful. And I thought immediately, I got to send him to Rothman to get this quick treatment, man, to get him back out there on the field for the Super Bowl push. And if BG is listening, which he probably does. He's that kind of guy. Good, great guy overall. I would have said, you know what, BJ, if you were asking for my advice, Rothman's 200-plus fellowship-trained physicians specialize in specific areas of the body, like the forearm or what is it, the triceps that he has, the triceps injury. They have you all covered from hip, knee, spine, shoulder, and elbow, foot and ankle, hand and wrist, sports medicine, physical medicine, and rehabilitation, orthopedic oncology, and trauma fracture care. We got to get him back on the field somehow, some way, so they can, again, make this push and have that depth there on the defensive line. Rothman proudly serves dozens of communities across Pennsylvania and New Jersey with 30-plus convenient offices, urgent cares, and walk-in centers. And year over year, Rothman consistently performs among the highest volume of hip, knee, shoulder, and ankle replacements in the country with over 60,000 overall. So I am walking around the way that I am. I'm fixed. I'm healed because of Rothman. I got to text BG and tell him, hey, man, if you need to get back out there pretty quickly, they can maybe put something on your forearm so you're all good. You can still get that push off, the bull rush, whatever you need. You can even sack him with one arm. Just clothesline him. Just don't, get a penalty on it, which I know you won't. The way to do that is with Rothman Orthopedics, specialized in orthopedics, and you visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today. I got you, BG. I got you all set up, man. Don't worry about it. Got you covered. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers show, the postgame show presented by Bet365. Rich, what's number 2 on your takeaways?
Number 2 is that Tyrese Maxey looked like Tyrese Maxey tonight. I know the final box score, you look at 14 of 34, and that's not great.
Doesn't matter.
But I thought he looked a lot better than that. As we're going to get into, you mentioned his floor game was excellent at times. He battled defensively.
Mm-hmm.
I was really impressed with Tyrese tonight. I just, he looked like the guy. He looked like he wanted to take over at points in this game, and I thought he played really well. The issue was, Devon, honestly, and we'll get to the negative part before we get to all of his positive things. The big issue in overtime is that the Rockets put Amen Thompson on him, and the whole game was, can you get Amen Thompson off Tyrese Maxey?
He tried.
The Rockets had guys who you could attack. Now, the 2 guys who were on the floor, I believe, in that overtime period, they would have taken anybody except Amen Thompson. But the 2 guys you were looking for were Sengun and Fred VanVleet. There was
even Dylan Brooks at times because he wasn't as good as he normally is.
And you even see, Tyrese had some impressive moves, but even on the the non-goaltend, the one that got overturned by Sengun, I actually thought that was a good call, right? You're talking to me live. I think he just got it before it hit the backboard. Nice play by him. But part of the reason he got to it was that Tyrese, it took a while to go around Amen Thompson, right? He's a very difficult defender. And when Tyrese got Amen Thompson off his body, that's when you saw the step back threes, right? That's when you saw he had that awesome right to left crossover into the side step 3. And that was on Jabari Smith, right? Against Amen Thompson, it was a little bit more difficult. Now, if Amen Thompson was guarding him and Joel Embiid and Paul George were here, well, then the whole offense was not centered on Tyrese Maxey. It would be a different sort of game. Mm-hmm. Also, Jared McCain, he struggled tonight. Like he just did not have his 3-point shooting stroke. It seemed like he got a little bit passive at times. That's okay. But unlike the Brooklyn game on last Friday, Maxey didn't really have a co-star here. Yabu was probably the closest thing to it.
Yeah.
So he was really the only source of offense for the Sixers, but I thought he played well. And you really liked his passing that night, right?
I did. There were a few that I really highlighted that when we were watching the game. I pointed out the one where I thought he made a mistake in the first half on a play where he was driving and Maxey, the playmaking, nice drive to the basket, and he had a cutting Oubre to his right. He was coming from the left side, and he had a nice play there. And as he got by his defender, the shot was going to be very difficult from the left side, maybe trying to get the runner off the glass or even a scoop shot off the glass. Kelly Oubre was coming from the weak side along the baseline, and I thought Maxey had a really good angle as he left his feet and decided to make a pass to pass it and drop it right off to Oubre as he's cutting along that baseline from the weak side. Instead, I don't know if he saw him too late or what, he tried a wraparound pass around the defender to Andre Drummond, who was in front of the rim. Much more difficult shot than if he would have made that decision to give it to Kelly Oubre. But that was the one. He then started to follow those up with some really good passes. He put his team on the back, and he made some really good decisions at the basket, some skip passes, getting into the lane, like I mentioned, and dropping the basketball off for some easier passes. So I think personally that when he goes to the bench, a lot of times you get those coaches with those iPads, those tablets, whatever they have, and they point out a few things and talk about it. Even as you saw with the tape on Kyle Lowry's shirt, he had a Sixers team issue shirt, but he had Coach Lowry on the shirt. Kyle Lowry talks to McCain and Maxey a lot when he goes to the bench.
Lowry.
I have to think that there had to be a few times where if it wasn't Lowry, there were a few of those coaches that pointed out, hey, when you're out there doing this, we talk about it all the time, Rich, especially during our post games. They're loading up. to stop you. And when you have a defender as good as McCain Thompson by himself, and then he brings you into some other defenders, you have to make the right decision. Your ability to be a playmaker is there. You just have to make the right pass at the right moment to do so. And you saw where he cleaned up some of those mistakes early on. I thought he was a much better passer. By the way, Rich, show was presented by Bet365. I hit on both on the parlay. Good to go. Maxey cleared that early anyway with his points.
Gambling Givens.
Yes.
Turn it around.
I'm back, folks. I'm back. So, but with his assists, he had a double-double of 39 and 10. Yeah. How can we argue? How can we complain? They had to make the shots. Probably could have had way more if Jared McCain hit a couple of his threes. We pointed out a few that he hit right in the shooting pocket of Kelly Oubre. He flat out missed those. He probably could have had 3-4 more assists if they made their shots. I thought his playmaking along with the scoring was really good outside of that one that we highlighted in the first.
It's like you said, they were loading up on him. So there were a couple of possessions where you saw KJ Martin sneak along the baseline and he found him. There was a couple of possessions. There was definitely one where he ran a pick and roll with KJ and he was going at Sengun and he timed it exactly right. Finds KJ cutting for a basket. Like that's good stuff from Tyrese. And I have been hard on him as a passer. I obviously don't think he is an elite passer just because of his instincts and his size, kind of the combination of that. I've certainly seen some flashes from McCain where you look at that and you say, it's a little bit different from what Maxey has shown. But he doesn't have a lot of help out there, man. It's like you said, like they just don't have great 3-point shooting right now. I remember, so during the Ben Simmons era, there was always an argument about some of Ben's assists. Like sometimes he would just drop the ball off and JJ Redick would be running around a screen and Ben would get the assist, but you're like, man, that's a hell of a shot by JJ, right? It felt like JJ was the one who was creating it. And that's not the bag on Ben too much. It just feels like Tyrese, there's not a lot of those assists available to him. Yeah. If he has an assist right now, it feels like he's working hard to get it, right? It's one where he is creating the entire offense. He is getting the guy an open shot. So finishes with 10 assists tonight. I know 4 turnovers, but I thought good floor game, and that's the second best defense in the league. So like clearly a big challenge. And then obviously he has the great run at the end of the game where, you know, he gets fouled on the jumper. He made a couple others too. Got to the rim on McCain Thompson. I do wish on a couple of
those driving layups where it was a rebound drill because he was going so fast and the defense was defending him so tightly that as he's using that speed, we saw him make a couple. Yeah. But we also saw a few where, you know, it's the rebound drill. It goes off the backboard because it barely touches the rim. And it's just this basketball off the backboard and rebound. Houston, they go the other way.
And that's part of why he had an inefficient shooting night, is that there were a couple of those possessions where he got sped up just a little bit, and, you know, the ball rolls out or, Sengun gets the block or those type of things. And then there are other ones where he goes into the paint and he doesn't get the call. And I know that's a big issue with Sixers fans about the whistle that he gets. Unfortunately, it felt like tonight, those plays too, Devon, they ended up being 4-point swings the other way too, right? Where if he lays it in, okay, you're able to get back on defense, but they were running the ball down your throat on those plays and capitalizing. Such is life. It's funny. I didn't think NBC Sports really did a good job of showing us the replays on those ones. Such is life. They were underwater a little bit tonight for during the second quarter. So at least they were functional and showing us the game at that point. But that's, look, I thought it was a valiant effort from Tyrese. It's a lot to be the number one option by a mile against one of those top tier defenses with athletic wings, like Tari Eason and McCain Thompson. And I thought it was an admirable performance. Was it perfect? No. But
39 and 10 should be enough.
But I didn't expect them to win the night anyway, and he was a big part of at least getting this game to overtime.
Yeah, our buddy Roy Burton, part of the PHLY sports family, says Maxey still doesn't get the star whistle. It's wild. He doesn't. And but my thing, Roy, is when you know you're not getting it, you just play through it and just hope that whistle goes your way. You just have to, because what are you going to do? You're going to keep complaining. You're going to keep doing what you're doing, and you're not going to get it. And then as you complain, oftentimes, what do? They make sure that they swallow the whistle and not give it to you in your favor. Can I add something to the Ben Simmons thing just briefly? Not to pick at Ben. It was more of, in the moment, he would have, he averaged 7, 8 assists to go along with the rebounds and his double-digit scoring around between 17 and 20 points a season when he was Ben. I always thought that it was a little overrated of how people talked about him as a passer.
Yeah.
He was a good passer for his size and what he did, but he also had so many people around him, surrounding him to make those shots. Credit to him, but also credit to you have around you. My belief in making your teammates better as a point guard and assist, get your big man some easier shots at the rim. He didn't do that. There were times, you can go through a whole highlight package of Ben Simmons, finding Joel Embiid from breaking down the defense and handing the ball off to him for a dunk or a layup, or to your point, finding JJ Redick or someone else, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, for a jump shot that they knocked down. Good on Ben for the idea of getting them the basketball. But when you break down a defense, I don't want Joel Embiid working hard for that 2 points. I want him catching and going up. That to me spells, oh, he broke that defense down and he dropped it off to the big man for the finish. And that's why I push back. And I was a big defender and supporter of Ben Simmons. Sure. But those are things where I feel like, that's a little bit inflated of how you're talking about him as a point guard. 2,
they had good shooting around him.
They
right?
did.
They had Redick.
They did.
That last year that he was here, they had Seth, they had Danny Green.
Even in the year when they had Ilyasova and Bellinelli there, I mean, all you had to do was find them, and they were specialists. You knocked down those shots.
Oh, during that run at the end of 2017-18, when they won all those games.
That was the 17 game in a row.
Bellinelli was shooting balls. It was like the Matrix. He was making threes sideways. It was crazy.
Remember the one he had the foot on the line and they pre-confettied it?
Sure.
You know, they did that one in the playoff game against Boston. And then finally this, when we talk about Tyrese struggling a bit tonight with the ball handling because so much was overloaded on him defensively, I couldn't help, Rich, but look at what the Pelicans did. Shorthanded, too many men down. You go out there because Willie Green has a relationship with Elfrid Payton from their time in Phoenix. When we were out there in Phoenix, Mikhail was out there in Phoenix. So I couldn't help but think about, you have an open roster spot. Your backup point guard is 37, 38 years of age. You're overtaxing him in minutes. You know your rookie is going to hit a wall at some point. And Elfrid Payton is out there as a veteran to simply help this guy out from time to time and coming off the bench. If you don't trust Reggie Jackson and you don't trust others to be secondary ball handlers off the bench to give him some of that relief, he's not going to give you 21 assists like he did in a team best, all-time franchise best. But for someone with that size, the defensive ability that he came into the league with, and to understand how to run a basketball team, would that been too much? Was that too much to ask to maybe go out there and do something like that as a 15th man, bringing him right in to help you out for what you need in the moment? And then if he continues to play like that, you might have also found your answer to helping out on a minimum deal another backcourt player who can handle the basketball. Has playoff experience.
It's a problem for them. They don't have a pure point guard, but Devon, the other problem is that they don't have shooters anymore, right? That's the other thing.
He wasn't going to solve that.
Yeah.
But there are too many things that they're still trying to solve. But you could probably solve one right there by doing something like that.
And I think for now, you just have to make the best of it, because you have the two little guards, and they're probably your two best players right now, right? They're the guys who you're going to have the ball in their hands as long as PG and Joel are out. So you put the ball in their hands. It's look, Tyrese, not perfect as a passer, but the lack of outlets and 3-point shooting to throw the ball to, like, you know, it'd be cool if Ilyasova and Bellinelli circa 2018 were here and he could get some of those cheapo assists. And also, he's got to get a little bit better as a passer. But I thought tonight was one of his better passing games of the year so far. Again, perfect, no, but his situation is far from that as well. He looks like a second or third option. Who needs Joel and PG to be here as well? You know, and that's the thing, Devon. When Joel, if this team were healthy and Joel was healthy and you know, he was running the pick and roll with PG, Tyrese would be the one spotting up on the weak side. And everybody knows he can make those shots. So that's where they are right now. Yeah. That's okay.
We always talk about it.
I was really happy with Tyrese tonight. It sounds like some of his post-game quotes, he's pretty fed up with the losing. I understand that. He's done a lot of winning since he's been here, man, right? It's been, you know, he comes to the team straight from Kentucky, doesn't get to play in the NCAA tournament that year. And thank God, because he wouldn't be on the Sixers if that was the case. He definitely would have had a good NCAA tournament.
And then thank you, Pat Riley and the Miami Heat.
Yes, exactly. In both cases, too, for Jared McCain as well. And so he comes here and, obviously he doesn't play a ton in his first year, but they're the number 1 seed that first year. And then the next 2 years, they're home court advantage, right?
Yep.
Last year, they took a little bit of a step back, but he was a huge part of winning. So this is different for him, man. And I'm sure he's one of those guys as well. Most of the NBA guys who come into the league, they don't know what losing is like at a high level. Maybe they have a bad one and done college season. Maxey did not have that. His team at Kentucky was very good. So this guy probably hasn't lost his whole life. So starting the season 3-14 has to be a little bit of a culture shock for him. I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about his mentality for sure.
No, it's not. And just to close out the 1 point, and we'll get to Rich's third takeaway on the other side, it was that, look, Elfrid Payton is not going to come in and start shooting 41% from three and be an answer there. But we see where they can struggle in getting the ball up the floor, getting to their offensive stuff. Kelly Oubre has the ball. KJ Martin has the ball. As much as I love Ricky, go get him Rick. Ricky has the ball at certain spots, and that's not where you want them to be making those types of decisions in the guts of the game. So another ball handler. That was my point of it all with Elfrid Payton. That's me sitting here. I'm sure they may have even discussed it in the front office. They decided not to, but we'll see where all that goes. So Rich's third takeaway on the other side, the player of the game, the WTF moment of the night. There were a few candidates there. We'll see which ones we talk about, and we'll check in with the guys live from the arena. Sixers fall 122-115, now 3-14 on the season. A lot of effort, gutsy performance, overtime loss, but it was still a loss.
Still a loss.
Discussing it right here, PHLY Sixers Postgame Show, presented by Bet365.
To you? It was me?
It is you.
Oh, it's me.
Go
Devon, after a game like that and heading into Thanksgiving, it's time to choose chill, my friend. Hey, we got to chill out. I feel like we have chosen chill through most of this game. We're not that worked up about that loss. I think we kind of expected it. And what better way to do that than with our friends at Coors Light? Devon, I might choose chill when I get home, right? This is obviously a big night for a lot of people where they go see their friends. They're home for Thanksgiving. Maybe you live outside of the area and you come home and you want to reunite with your high school friends or somebody from the neighborhood growing up. What better way to do that than with Coors Light? I love it when those little mountains turn blue. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. So make the most out of the times that you choose chill. Choose Coors Light and get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/PHLY basketball. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
And if the guys were here, Kyle and Derek, Rich already said it though. Gambling Givens is back, man.
He's back, baby.
Hey, man, listen. Tyrese Maxey, my parlay, my same game parlay. Tyrese Maxey over 28.5 points and assists combined. Ben Thompson over 1.5 steals and blocks. He did that in like the first 2 minutes of his time off the bench.
He does that by accident.
You got to go to Bet365 when I tell you to go to Bet365 to get you right for the holidays because we were right there on it. Never ordinary. I'm not an ordinary. I'm Gambling Givens. You heard it. You heard it here first from my guys. And as we go through it, we got to tell you that Bet365 has over 90 million users worldwide, live streams over 780 events a year. So as you're in the moment, and I had it at 28.5 for the points and assists for Tyrese Maxey, 1.5 for Ben Thompson. If you're watching the game while you're deciding to make the bet there, they have it live for you, the live in-game betting on Bet365. They pioneered the live in-game betting, so this is the place that you have to go. They offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. And if you are a new customer, you didn't listen, guess what? There are a lot of football games tomorrow, my friends out there, where the slate is busy for you. And as a result, if you're a new customer, you sign up, you get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Using the code PHLY365 to sign up, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 and to get that $150 in bonus bets. Here's what you can use them on. Bonus bets be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and much more. If you're looking at Jared McCain for the Rookie of the Year, maybe you're going in that direction. If you're looking for MVP for Philadelphia's running back, jump on the odds now at Bet365 because, Rich, they are in fact there. Again, download the Bet365 app using code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $150 in bonus bets. And when you bet $5, whenever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers postgame show presented by Bet365. Before we get to Rich's third takeaway from the night, our player of the game, and a couple of the WTF moments, we got to head to the arena to check in with a couple of MVPs as we talk about that.
Sure.
The guys are at the arena. Kyle is here as things got done pretty quickly there with the post-game press conferences. I guess they have.
Thank goodness
the
for
holiday.
that, Devon. Nobody
Exactly.
needed to be sticking around all night to conduct post-game interviews on Thanksgiving Eve. Am I right?
That's correct. Well, with it, man, I mean, look, we're talking about a 122-115 overtime loss, but they gave a lot of effort. Maxey was phenomenal. Yabusele was really good in this one. They fell short because, look, we talk about the same things that happens when the team is bad. The things always prop up. Offensive rebounds, 50-50 balls, and turnovers, those self-inflicted wounds by themselves. But they really did give an effort. Unfortunately, 14 losses in.
Yeah, and look, Devon, maybe we take like not a victory lap, more like a victory quarter lap when Ricky plays and they play the younger athletes rather than the guys who can't move anymore, and all of a sudden they're competing harder and they look like they can keep up with a Houston team that is full of long, competitive athletes. I think that was a big part of it, is just you play the guys who can hang in this kind of matchup. So some of it was reintroducing someone like Ricky, giving him some rope. And, we got to talk to him a little bit after the game about his road to, getting back to being a contributor and all that. And also credit to Tyrese Maxey, who I think through like 2.5 quarters, I was really down on his performance, but kept coming. They tried to play up on him as he started to get some shots to go down. And despite the fact that he wasn't really getting any whistles and had some trouble finishing at the basket early, did a good job in that fourth quarter of making them pay for the way they were playing him. So, the resilience was there. The fight was there. All the stuff that you want to see in terms of the demeanor. But, yeah, 3-14 is 3-14. And, there are only so many moral victories this team can take this year. And I think they have sufficiently hit their limit on that one.
Oh, they're overflowing. The quota was probably a few weeks ago, Kyle. So let's talk about another moral victory, though, because I thought he was very good tonight. Yabu continues to impress. I just that guy, I don't know whether playing for Real Madrid for a couple years, just he figured out how to play basketball. It might have just been a guy naturally getting a little bit older and figuring out his niche, but he sure looks like a no doubt rotation player for whether it's the Sixers or somebody else moving forward. And I think, Devon and I were talking about it a little bit. If you did have everybody available, he's making a pretty good argument that he should be in that starting rotation or in that starting lineup, particularly.
Yeah. And look, Nurse and Yabu were both asked about it after the game, brought it up that this was the game where it was like, oh, Yabu played a lot of 4 and succeeded as a power forward, including next to Andre Drummond. And, actually, I thought that was probably the best Drummond game we've gotten this year. He was a big part of slowing down Şengün up until overtime. But yeah, I mean, look, the thing coming into the year, we said Yabu's got all these complementary skills, right? He's a good secondary passer, a great screener. We think he's an intelligent player who's going to get more out of his size than maybe another similarly sized player would. But the question was the 3-point shot, and he has consistently shot the ball. He is comfortable, confident from multiple areas of the floor at this point. I think we were like, well, he's got to hit him from the corners because everywhere else is maybe a question mark. Well, I think he's sufficiently shown up to this point. He can hit from the wing, hasn't really been in the trail spot as much as you would expect, but that has unlocked so many things. And I think he did a good job tonight defensively, like coming out on switches, and we saw him, hedge a time or two. There was one where he helped force a turnover in the first half near the sideline that he was really fired up about, let out a big yell afterwards. So I think some of the other stuff is coming along for him. And, I know this is a big if, but if they ever get Joel out there for a consistent period of time, I agree with you, Rich. I think there's a decent argument that Yabu should be given a starter's opportunity.
And I thought he did a really good job. Jabari Smith playing really well lately, really putting the ball on the floor, hitting the outside shot as well. He only attempted 2 threes tonight, made both, but I thought Yabusele really competed well against a guy who was who's younger, obviously, a little more athletic with that length there, kept him off the glass also, and competed with Sengun on the glass. Sengun ended up with 14, but a lot of that really came later on as the shots were missing. He really got himself engaged into the basketball game. But Yabusele really held himself pretty well against both of those two guys in the front court, particularly.
Yeah, and look, I think it highlights one of these things we keep talking about, right? Which is that we see what Yabu can do in these shorthanded situations. Like, he's a nice surprise. So it was a good pickup. Jared McCain, tough night tonight, but by and large, we're like, yeah, we're really encouraged by what he's shown. And so if you're getting those type of consistent efforts from guys like that, if you have this team on the floor and they're whole, and you have, a reasonable facsimile of Joel Embiid and Paul George, you should be able to win a lot of games. The problem is just we don't even know what state Joel is in half the time, right? So a lot of this ends up being like, hey, we're really encouraged by Ricky tonight. We're really encouraged by Yabu tonight. And we're, it's great to have those things. But if you don't get those things while they have the star driving talent, and it's only Tyrese who's able to, be out there and do this, it's hard for these guys to go from, good role player, good game to, can't expect these guys to lead them to wins, right? It's got to come alongside the guys like Embiid and George, and that, it's incumbent upon them to get out there in one form or another.
Kyle, last one for me, because we want to get you out of here pretty quickly. We want to get ourselves out of here pretty quickly after that. You did see from Nurse, he did play the younger, more athletic legs tonight. Yeah. I'm looking at the box score tonight. I see 5 minutes from Reggie Jackson, 7 minutes from Eric Gordon. But your two bench guys were KJ Martin and Ricky Council. I guess particularly with Ricky, because it's been kind of a rough season from him. He really has not gotten a chance to play in a certain spot in the rotation. So I will give him some grace there, but he has also not exactly seized the opportunity so far. What'd you make of Nurse kind of making that move? And what did you see particularly from those two guys who I thought both played pretty well tonight?
Yeah, well, so I think Ricky was probably the better of the two, notably because he took and made some threes where we're still waiting for KJ to not be gun shy when he's got the open opportunities in the corners or on the wing, wherever he might get them. But Ricky was pretty transparent with us in the locker room. We spoke to him tonight where he said, I've had to go back and watch film recently and almost remind myself of who I am and understand why I haven't played. And he said he sort of understands why he's been buried and why he's been out of the rotation, because he's looked at recent stuff and he would come in and, he might take a three and miss and go down and defend, but he's not impacting the game with his energy. He's not coming in and doing the stuff we saw last year, which is crashing the glass hard, getting put back dunks, coming down the floor in transition. And he said he needed that reminder to himself. This is what it looks like when you have a good game. This is what it looks like when your number is called. You need to do X, Y, Z. And so I think on top of that, I think something that I noticed tonight that has been absent was he made some good decisions in transition rather than trying to, do too much and just bulldoze somebody. He had a couple drop off passes or just hey, back to the trailer and Yabu, and I think he had a short pass to, I believe it was Maxey, on a fast break in the first half, and that's the type of stuff that adds up, right? It's not a huge thing in the stat sheet. Yabu got fouled, so it doesn't even go down in the stat sheet gets no assist, but it's a winning basketball play. And that's the stuff that the coaches want to see from him. They know that he's a great athlete, right? We can see that he's got talent, but he needs to make those winning basketball plays. So we saw more of that tonight. And then KJ, it's very simple. Like, he's a versatile, tough defender where he can blow up some plays on switches. And one jumped out at me tonight where brought up Jabari Smith, Devon. He had him on an island, and he's trying to call for the ball in the mid post. And KJ, he just could not move him, to the point that he kind of fumbled the ball on the entry, and the Rockets were like, nah, we don't want to go there anymore. And they just swung the ball to the other side of the floor. And we've seen it a lot from him this year. He had some success guarding Giannis on opening night. They've thrown him all around the floor. That's his ticket to playing time. The offensive stuff is a challenge. But yeah, Nurse actually, I don't know if you guys saw it. Nurse was asked about keeping the older vets in the boat, so to speak. Like, you're 3 and 14. How do you keep everyone's commitment? And Nurse basically was like, well, they've had their opportunity to earn minutes, and that's all it is. You got to earn the opportunities. So it does seem like he might be trending toward, it's time to play the Rickies, the KJs, the young guys of the world.
Well, hopefully they get a chance to do that on Saturday as they take on the Detroit Pistons in Detroit. But before we get there, Kyle, we want to say happy Thanksgiving to you and the family, man. Be safe getting home. Have a good time with the folks as we have a few days off, and we'll all be back together for pregame 6:30 on Saturday as the Sixers take on the Detroit Pistons.
I'm bringing some turkey and stuffing sandwiches for the boys on Saturday night. But yeah, happy Thanksgiving, fellas. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, watching, listening. I'm sure that Derek would say the same. Derek's a little ornery. He's ready for his cranberry tomorrow. But get home safe, fellas. I'll see you Saturday.
See you,
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Kyle Neubeck joining us live from the arena. Derek, as we told people, and Derek said, he's a little under the weather, so gave Derek a night off of talking.
He's like Vinny the other night after the Eagles game.
Yeah, Vinny was really like...
Vinny lost his voice. Vinny sounded great today, though.
Some lozenges, man.
Nice rebound.
Yeah, really nice rebound. The one thing quickly, and then we'll get to the third one so we can all get out of here, as you said, and give everybody a chance to get to there. Plus, we'll get to the Super Chat. The KJ thing, he did play well overall, but there were a lot of points where we all four of us here in the studio were saying, you can't have KJ Martin as the release valve on a lot of these traps where Maxey has the ball.
It's not a good
decision. He's making the right pass. Unfortunately, it's KJ Martin. With all due respect to KJ Martin, who has had more positive things than negative, tonight just wasn't his night.
I honestly, KJ, he gave effort tonight. Like we said, made a couple good cuts where Maxey found him for buckets. He made the block coming off the corner, Dylan Brooks, off the strong side corner, which is an unorthodox rotation to make, but he gets the block on Sengun to send the game into overtime. That was a really nice play. Hard to argue with the results there, especially because it's a tie game, right? It's not like that corner three beats you any differently than a Sengun, step back jumper from that spot. So he played well. The one thing he does, man, that just drives me absolutely insane, we saw it when the Sixers were making that comeback with Embiid in Memphis a little while ago. There are plays where he is left wide open on the weak side, and sometimes another guy has already cut, which is why he's wide open. Two defenders have gone with that guy, and he still cuts to the basket. Man, if you are playing off the ball, you got to stand beyond that three-point line and make that catch and shoot shot. Unfortunately, that's not his forte. You also mentioned some of his decision making as well. So that's why KJ Martin is a limited player.
Sometimes in and out of the lineup.
That's why
rotation.
He is where he is. As Kyle mentioned, he did some nice stuff defensively tonight. As Kyle didn't get to this, but the fact that he can actually get up off the floor,
100%.
Rebound a little bit, give you energy. That's why he plays. But there are drawbacks to playing him.
Yeah, Ricky was really good. KJ was decent in his moments. Just put in a spot where, again, it's not all his fault because this is what they're having to do right now. Give him a spot. He would get the ball. He's open, Rich. And then he would, instead of, I know what today's game is. If he's not going to shoot the three like you talked about, you mentioned it, yelled it a few times, shoot the ball because they left you wide open behind the three-point line. You got to have the confidence taking the three. But then also, he would put the ball on the floor, and as good as he is as an athlete and as a leaper off the floor, he's Euro-stepping into the traffic. Yeah. He's going into the traffic. That's a net negative on that play where you probably, I wish you would just take that little short baseline jumper. Maybe they're telling them not to, or that short floater that we've seen them make in both Houston and Philadelphia. Take that push shot, man. Get it on the rim.
Yeah.
Let the rim help you, that soft touch, guide the ball through the basket. All right, Rich's third takeaway. I'm sure we touched on it, but let's get to the third takeaway, which is Jared McCain.
This is from the other night.
Yeah. So what was
the defense was a huge issue the other night. It wasn't as much tonight. Houston size just wore him down.
Wasn't Jared McCain. It was Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Houston, they got a bunch of offensive rebounds. They took a bunch of free throws, and it just felt like their size and athleticism as the game wore on kind of overwhelmed the Sixers. And that's okay. Again, that's part of the reason I'm not overly mad about the effort tonight, right? That's just that they have a little bit more talent. They have a strength that they are able to press, and that's what happened as this game went on. So let's move on.
Yeah, and there was one more. 32 of 38 to the Sixers, 17 of 23.
Didn't shoot.
That's the free
quite
throw
as well.
Yeah. That's the free throw.
That's true.
And look at the disparity there from it. By the way, Jalen Green was great with his 41, game high 41. He and Tyrese Maxey going at it. Tyrese Maxey and Jalen Green, they've been doing this for a long time, dating back to their days in high school. Teammates on Team USA as high school guys, under 16 team, under 18 team. And these guys know each other very well. So when we see these guys and we see them in high school and in these spots and see them turn into the players they are, it's always cool to watch that. All right, Bree, let's get to the player of the game, who we know is, one, Tyrese Maxey, 39 points, 6 of 12 from beyond, 5 steals, as you talked about, engaged defensively, the effort that he's giving on that end of the floor. It's really good to see that because he got beat back door on one early where we were like, yo, what are you doing? Now, it happens.
That does happen.
But we were like, oh, Jalen Green baseline for an uncontested dunk, and it was amazing. 10 assists and 4 turnovers, but as much as he handled the basketball a lot, the attention that he got on defense, that stuff happens in general. That was our player of the game.
Easy pick.
Super chat. We got a ton. Let's run through them. Jay the Jungle. Happy Thanksgiving. First, wanted to drop in and say happy Thanksgiving to all of us, and we really appreciate it. Love you guys back. Appreciate it, Jay. Great effort tonight. Will get us a couple of wins moving forward. Would have been nice to get them some games ago, like you said, 2 weeks ago on those effort nights. But unfortunately, we did not. Thank you, Jay.
Appreciate it, Jay. Happy Thanksgiving, man.
Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Jay. Skunk Riley jumps in for a few here. I'm about sick of doggone Van Vliet. Hey, man.
Sixers have seen a lot of him.
He's been
over
a
the
pest
years.
for a long time.
Yeah.
4 games a year as a member of the Raptors, and now he comes back and he does this. Tonight, Van Vliet, 13, 5 assists. He did have 2 blocks, 2 steals. He didn't shoot as well as he did last night, but he made enough shots tonight and enough passes for it to be enough. Who shot stem cells into Drummond? He looked spry tonight.
You're not lying, Skunk. He
9 boards.
He looked good, man.
9 boards, 6 points overall. He looked pretty good tonight.
I wish that we saw that Drummond 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we will take what we can get. Yeah, that was a good Drummond game for sure.
That was really a good Drummond game.
He did a nice
tonight.
job on Sengun all night.
Yes, he did, until it was just too much. Sengun is Sengun.
Well, I mean, they had Yabu on him in overtime, right? And that's kind of the difference, right? Sengun can overpower Yabu as kind of a true center, not in the same way that he can with Drummond. Drummond was smart, and yeah, he played well against him tonight.
Yep. 29 minutes from Drummond, 43 from Yabusele. No other backup 5. KJ Martin would have probably been that if they went that direction, or Dembona. We got Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats, jumping in here for all the Maxey isn't a point guard talk. If these guys made their shots off these great passes that he's throwing, it would make him look awfully like a point guard, awfully more like a point guard to me. Thanks, Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats. We did talk about that. Oubre, McCain specifically missed a lot of shots there, and the KJ Martin part where he was the release valve for Tyrese Maxey in the middle of the floor or along the baseline, and a couple of dribbles, that's no assist, and then a few turnovers there as a result, or missed shots.
It's both, right? Where I think he could certainly stand to improve as a passer. That's not a strength of his. but he doesn't have a lot of outlets right now. He doesn't have a lot of knockdown shooters. He doesn't have somebody who can make plays 4-on-3. I mean, he's doing it with Drummond, honestly. So completely agree with that.
Yeah,
Devon.
Brian Pumper, Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin, and Paul George on the bench to support their team, but someone was missing. The guy writes the articles himself. He couldn't even support his team. Oh, he was on the bench for the last game. He wasn't there tonight.
I did not see him.
I didn't see it either. I don't know.
We're obviously watching from TV, just like everybody else, but we didn't see him. Brian, I don't know. I guess that's what
I got nothing on that one, Brian, but thanks for the super chat. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And Scott, our final one. Should we ever see Gordon again for the rest of the season?
Well, especially if they're going to be bad, then you should not see him, right? I don't know. First off, Devon, you might make the argument, and I think Nick Nurse in Kyle's comments seemed like he was kind of throwing some shade at the Eric Gordon veteran types that they've had their chance. If you've determined that as you're still trying to win, that Eric Gordon shouldn't get minutes, then if there ever becomes a point when you're not trying to win, he certainly shouldn't get those minutes, play the young guys or whatever. So we'll see, Scott. I mean, they are kind of running out of bodies right now, and he is one of them who's actually healthy and able to play. But I'm with you. Eric Gordon has been really bad this year. So I understand the sentiment for sure.
Yep, he absolutely have. As I apply my lip balm from Rite Aid, I needed it. Sorry about that. It's a live show. Hey, we're all family here. It's all good. Rite Aid, send some more of these in so we can have running out of the lip balm. Can't have the chapped lips while we're in here. It's getting a little
Can't
chilly.
have it.
Can't have the chapped lips. All right. Well, we got to say, you know what? We'll get to our WTFs on Saturday. We want to go into the holiday feeling pretty good. Despite the loss, we want to say thank you to everyone out there all year long from our full year as a PHLY sports family, from the Sixers team, ourselves. I know I could speak for Kyle, Derek, Bree, and Rich that we thank you, and Chris as well hanging out with us tonight. We thank you so much. What are we thankful for? We're thankful for you. We can do this. We can talk until we're blue in the face, but we can't do it unless we also have the support from all of you, becoming diehard members, becoming part of our community, becoming part of our extended family, if you will, on these late nights, these early days, breaking news, things of that nature. You're always there for us, and we couldn't do it without you. We really appreciate your support, your help, and we are very thankful for it. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you. We thank you for everything that you do for us. Rich, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, your family,
too, man.
Alex, everybody. We appreciate, I appreciate you for spending these days with you, these days
Love
and nights
doing
with
this
you.
with you.
This is always fun.
And thank you to everybody in the chat. I know this has been a really hard start to the season.
Yes.
But a lot of you just keep coming and showing up every single night. We really appreciate it.
Happy Thanksgiving, Bree, to you and the family. Yes, enjoy. Happy Thanksgiving to Chris and all of you out there. We normally give our roll call. We're going to skip roll call tonight just because we want to give everybody an opportunity to go start getting those meals done. Turn the oven on, set the alarm for 4 a.m. so you can make sure that you're not, no smoke alarms. We don't want anything on the news. We don't want that. We know how it works. But listen, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. Save a plate for me. We'll be back on Saturday so you can bring it in on Saturday. But make sure you like and subscribe. And while you are with your family, if they don't know about PHLY Sports, if they don't know about PHLY Family, we have our TV shows on that run 24 hours, our PHLY Sports channels on Roku TV, Samsung Television, and on now Xfinity. So while you're with the family and you're watching the football games, there are a bunch of timeouts. Show them how to get to our channel on not only the television side, but also on the YouTube side as well. PHLY_Sixers on social media, and bring more of the family to the community so we can continue to keep this going.
And if someone brings up politics at the Thanksgiving table, just talk about PHLY. Change the conversation.
That is it. That's very easy. That's not even an argument. That's hey, I thought I knew those guys were there, but now I know, and this is the place to go. So everybody, happy Thanksgiving to all of you. We really appreciate it. I'll be expecting my plates on Saturday when we get back for the Pistons and the Sixers, 6:30 pregame. So we hope to see you there. Enjoy your Thanksgiving with your family and friends. Enjoy the football tomorrow. Enjoy the time off. And we will certainly see you on Saturday. Make sure you also take advantage of our all PHLY Black Friday sale for the merchandise. That's up to 75%. Go support our show for the Sixers gear, but the Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, Union, Penn State, and our PHLY sports gear overall. So you can look like us, and you might want to get some for someone for the holidays as well. Make sure you take advantage of that sale. I know I will. For Rich, Kyle, Derek, Bree, Chris, and all here at the PHLY Sports family, have a happy Thanksgiving. Much love to you all. We'll see you on Saturday. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.